Hello and welcome to the Walking Dead All Out War, and this time we are hitting the Miles Behind Us campaign. We're starting with Chapter 1, Clear the Road. In this chapter we have Rick, Carl and Glenn starting in the top right, and we have Tyrese, Chris and Julie starting anywhere along the bottom board edge. There are 4 cars, all with supplies, that need to be moved out of the way of the road, and 14 walkers that start on the board. Equipment-wise, we've given Rick the Smith & Wesson and Rick's hatchet. Glenn isn't carrying anything to start with, he's just Glenn. Carl has got an old gun. Tyrese, we have given him the claw hammer and some football pads, make him beefy. Julie is just Julie, and Chris has got a .22 revolver. And that's all the equipment. The threat tracker starts at 1, and this is Chapter 1, Clear the Road. Okay, so first up, I need to get everybody together. There's safety in numbers. I'm going to activate Glenn first, and I'm going to run him 8 inches. And I'm going to see if he treads lightly, which he does. So in that case, I'm going to activate Rick and move him, sneak him 4 inches to about there. If you notice, I'm going to shoot. If you notice the one next to Glenn, this one, he's not going to hit Glenn because of mayhem. So I'm going to shoot the one to the left of Glenn. Some blue and a red. And I get a 2, and the walker, nope, doesn't defend it, so that walker is prone. Now to check to see how many walkers are within 10. There's going to be quite a few that's within 10, so that one's not, the old man's not, that one is, yeah. Okay, so we've got a few to move towards Rick. We'll start with this one, straight down. The one by Glenn, straight towards Rick. Nah, he wouldn't touch Glenn. Get him next to the barrier. Right, the next one. Straight towards Rick. Walker, yeah, straight into the barrier as well. This one, he's going straight towards Rick. They're all going straight towards Rick. But this one's going to get into base contact with Glenn. And finally this one, who's in base contact with the car already, so it's just going to move it around the car. Get this right. There we go. And then the rest of the way towards Rick. It's a little bit crowded up there. Let's just double check that one's not in. Rick fired his weapon. That's mayhem, so +1. The threat tracker is now on 2. Carl to activate next. He's going to hold his nerve, which he does. Put it back down to 1. And then I'm going to run 8 inches directly forward, making noise, and pulling one of those walkers into base contact with Carl. And that's Carl, Rick and Glenn done. Now we're going to move on to Tyrese, Chris and Julie. I mean, it's a bit crowded up by Rick. Maybe these 3 might just go, oh, look, see you later, bye, we're leaving. But no, they need to help out. So, we're going to start with... I think we will have to start with Chris. We're going to get Chris running 8 inches straight into the front of that police car, which causes noise. It's going to pull one of those walkers back down. And now we're going to activate Tyrese. Going to run him forward as well, causing noise and dragging another walker back down. Julie, though, will activate and just sneak Forward 4. Threat tracker's only at 1, so we don't need to hold our nerve. But we do need to check the kill zones. That one's going into Rick. That one's going into Glenn. And I think that's it. So it's 2 against Glenn, 1 against Rick, 1 against Carl, 1 against Therese, and 1 against Chris. Whew. Right, event card. Event card is The Walking Dead, +2 threat. That'll make it 3, so it's still all quiet. 2 red dice. Oh. Huh. Yeah. 4 extra walkers come on. I've got 3 spare here. Let's grab another one. But all these walkers enter play and then move towards the closest survivor. So it doesn't matter where I put them, they're going to move. I put them towards my side of the board, it's going to cause problems now. If I put them the other side of the board, it's going to cause problems later. At this moment in time though, I am happy to go for will cause the problems later. So I'm going to put the first one up in the corner there. I'll put the second one on the road. And I'll put the last 2 up at the top in the corner. And back there as well. So 3 of them up in the corner, 1 down in the middle of the road. And then they all move towards the closest survivor. So that one's going 6 towards Glenn. This one is going 6 towards Glenn, getting stopped by the barrier. This one is going to go 6 towards Rick. And the final one is going to go straight towards Rick as well. Now we're looking a bit crowded. We still need to push all these vehicles off the road. And we've got quite a lot in combat. First up, Glenn's going to try to nimble his way out. Which he does do. So I move Glenn back an inch and say, I don't have to fight. And next up we're going to do, we'll do Rick. So Rick has a white dice times 2. We'll just move these dice out the way. Okay, so 2 white dice, and I get a 3 with crit, extra dice, 4 in total. Walker can't defend it anyway. So Rick has annihilated that walker. We've killed 1. And next up we'll move on to Carl. So Carl is going to get 1 red dice. A 1. The walker can get a 1. It's a tie, so Carl will push the walker back. And that is it. Oh, I'm forgetting the threat tracker. Need to put it up 1 because of melee. And we had the event card, which was 2. So the it's actually supposed to be on 4. Right, that's better. Now we'll move on to Therese. He has 3 white dice. I've got a headshot, 5 in total. Walker can't defend that. There we go. So that's 1 that's just had his head smashed in with the claw hammer. And finally we have Chris to go. And Chris just gets 1 red dice. I got a 1. Walker gets a blank. So that Walker will be pushed back an inch and put us prone. And that's everyone activated. Everyone's fought. Do the walkers get back up? That one first. He's back up. And the one by Chris. Nope. So just 1 walker gets back up. And that is the end of turn 1. So we're a bit crowded. Glenn seems to be in the middle of a lot of walkers. Nothing new there. Turn 2, threat tracker up to 5. We will start with Julie. She can sneak into the car and search it. And we get a lurker. So that's 2 red dice for the lurker. Got a 1. Julie has 1 defense dice. She survived it. Okay, so that's Julie activated. Next up we're going to activate Chris. And our first activation is to move the car. So we're going to push this car out of the way. That's 1 of the 4 done. And my second activation, I'm going to sneak him towards the red truck. Just to 4 inches, nice and quietly. There we go. Where to next? Tyrese, he can hold his nerve. Yes, he does. Put it back down to 4. And now I'm going to run him. Run him around. Actually, I want to run him into base contact with that walker. And he makes noise, so it drags another one into him. So Tyrese can go up against 2, but he should be able to handle it. And now I'm going to activate Rick. And Rick can hold his nerve. Ideal. That puts the threat tracker back down to 1. And now I'm going to sneak Rick into combat with that other walker. I'm going to activate Carl next. And Carl can just sneak into the prone walker. Try to get that one off the board as well. And then finally activating Glenn. He can sneak into the same prone walker that Carl snuck into. And there we go. I don't think anything is in the kill zones, but we'll just give it a quick check. No. Event card time. And we get distracted. It's all quiet. Walkers stop. Nothing else happens. Time to fight. Threat tracker goes up by 1. Back up to 2. And we'll start with Rick. So 2 white dice. And we get a 2. And the walker... at least I knocked it back and proned it. There we go. Okay, we'll move on to Tyrese. 3 white dice. And he's outnumbered, so we'll have a red one as well. Let's kill some walkers. Or not. 6 damage. Okay, and the walkers get 2. So Tyrese wins. He pushes them both back and puts them both prone. But wasn't able to kill any of them. And finally we have Glenn and Carl. So they have 1 red dice each for attack. And I got a 1. At least the walker got a blank. I actually killed one. Yay! And now we're into the end phase. So which walkers get back up? We'll start with the old man walker. That one right there. That one's up. Blue dress is up. And pink top. They're all up. So all the walkers that were knocked down get back up. Move these prone counters out the way. Can't get them. And I'm... There we go. Right, so that is the end of turn 2. With the threat tracker at... I must have knocked it. Threat tracker should be at 2. There we go. This is the end of turn 2. We've managed to get 1 supply and move 1 car so far. And now we're on turn 3. Threat tracker goes up to 3. And now to remember what we're doing after our tea break. First up, I think I'm going to activate Tyrese. I need to turn this light back on. There we go. Hold my nerve. No, I don't. For my second action, I'm going to move him into base contact with both the walkers. I'll activate Glenn next, and I think I'll sneak him into the vehicle. There we go. And for my second action, I'm going to search it, which is going to get me an ammo reload. He doesn't need that, but he's carrying it. I think Chris can activate next. I'm going to also sneak him into the vehicle. And then for his second action, we're going to move that vehicle out of the way. So we'll push it up, out of the walker zone. That'll do. Okay, so that's Tyrese, Glenn, and Chris done. We're going to activate... we're going to activate Cole. And we're going to sneak him forward. Just a little bit. Not in contact with anything. And for his second action, he can hold his nerve. Which is the shield. Threat tracker down to 2. Julie next. Julie can also hold her nerve. I'll take that as a success. Put the threat tracker down to 1. Got to keep the threat low, and then I'll sneak in her in as well. Which leaves me Rick. So Rick can sneak the other side of the walker. I don't need to hold my nerve or anything. So I'll leave him next to the walker and then check for kill zones. Obviously that walker's now going to go into Rick, but there's nothing else available. No, so we get to take the event card and see what happens. So we get Feeding Frenzy. So if I roll a shield, anyone in combat loses 1 health. So we'll start with Tyrese. Nope, he's fine. And now for Rick. Nope, he's fine. The last 2 event cards have been quite pleasant. We'll see how long that keeps going. But onto the melee phase. So we'll start with Tyrese. He gets 3 white dice and a red because he's outnumbered. Up 5 damage, but only 1 crit. And the walker can defend it. So we kill 1. We'll kill that one. And we push the other one back and put them prone. As we only got 1 headshot. And now for Rick. Rick has 2 white dice. I've got a headshot and I get an additional red. That's it. Walker can't defend it now, but we'll roll it anyway. So that's that walker killed as well. And the end phase, just need to see if that walker in the pink top gets back up. And she does. And that is the end of turn 3. So if we look here, we've got quite a lot of walkers around the 2 vehicles we still need to get to. I need to drag them away somehow. How are we going to do that though? Well, we've got to move on to turn 4. Let's do this. So threat tracker up by 1. And let's see if we can get these walkers away from the vehicles. We're going to start with... Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We're going to start with Glenn. Yeah, we're going to get Glenn to run right through the gap a few inches, and then we'll go down a few inches to make sure it's a run. And now we'll see if he treads lightly. Nope, so one of the walkers gets dragged into him. Okay, next up we are going to activate Carl and try to hold our nerve. Nope, no nerve holding, so we're going to sneak him forward. Just sneak him forward 4. That's Carl done. Okay, we'll activate Tyrese next. And Tyrese is also going to try to hold his nerve. There we go. Put the threat back down to 1. And now I'm going to run Tyrese all the way towards the walker, making noise, pulling that walker into him. Who next? Alright, we're going to move Chris. Chris is going to sneak back down towards the board edge. And then he's going to shoot the closest walker. Hopefully dragging all the walkers away from the vehicles. But he has 2 red dice. And we get a 2. And the walker gets also a 2. Nothing. Chris can't even hit a walker at point blank range. Well, that caused mayhem. So that's the threat tracker back up to 2. And it's time to move these walkers in. So that one goes into Chris. The next one's going to go straight into Chris as well. That one back there is going to go straight into Julie. We have another walker that's going to go into Tyrese. And then we have the walker by the car that's going to come forward. And then it's going to go straight towards Chris, taking it into base contact with Glenn. And I believe that's all of them for now. And now I've got to decide what I'm going to do with Rick. So Rick is the last one to activate. And I do believe I'm just going to hold my nerve. 2, that puts it back down to 1. And then I'm going to run Rick into base contact with that walker to try to rescue Julie. Now for the kill zones, I think the only walker that's not in base contact is the one by Julie. So that one will go in. Nothing else is in range. We'll split them. So it's Tyrese versus 2, Glenn versus 2, Chris versus 2, and Rick and Julie versus 1 apiece. Now the event card. Pandemonium plus 1 threat, back up to 2. Roll a white dice and move that many walkers towards the nearest survivor. We got a 1, so we got to have 1 walker go towards the nearest survivor. And I think I'm going to do the walker by the red car. Put her... shamble her straight towards Tyrese. So Tyrese is going to be up against 3, but I have moved all the walkers away from the vehicles. Let's just got to survive. Now the question is, where to start? Where would you start? Make or break time. But I'm going to start with Glenn. And I'm going to attempt to nimble out of combat. So I need to roll an action dice, and on a shield, I don't have to fight. Just move him. He's an inch gap. I'll have to do. And next up, I'm going to do Julie, as she can only defend. So 1 red dice for defense. Gets a 1, and the walker gets a 1. It's a standoff. Julie manages to defend herself and push that 1 back. Next we'll do Rick, 2 white dice. A crit, I get to roll an extra red. Doesn't really matter. Walker can't defend it. 1 dice. No. That walker is dead. And now we'll move on down to Chris. Chris only gets 1 red dice. And we got a 2 with a crit, so we got a chance, but the walkers do have 3 red dice. 1, 2, 3. No bites, but they won the combat. So Chris has taken a wound, and he's the one that gets pushed back. And we've just got Tyrese to go. Tyrese gets 3 white dice and a red for being outnumbered. We got 3. Oof. And the walkers get 6 red dice. 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we'll put the dice tray here for this one. Alright, Tyrese got 3. And the walker's got 4 with a bite. But because I've got the football pads, I take 1 less damage. So the 1 damage he gets through gets nullified. Saved by the football pads. So let's move these ones back. Oh, well, that was lucky. There is no prone walkers. That is the end of turn 4. Now we kick on to turn 5. Put the threat tracker up to 4. Let's get this done. I'm going to activate Glenn. I'm going to run Glenn towards the black car, getting him into base contact. I don't want to make noise, so I'm going to see if he treads lightly, which he does. So for Glenn's second action, I'm going to search the car, and we're going to take a metal pipe. It'll do. We'll put that on him. Okay, so that's Glenn done. And next up, we are going to activate Chris. We're going to sneak him back 4. And as we have to risk a sacrifice of someone to distract the walkers, he can shoot. And he's going to shoot that one right there. 2 red dice. 2 and a crit, that'll do. Threat was on 4. Yeah. Walker dice. Can the walker defend it? Nope, that walker is dead. So that's another one removed. Threat tracker up to 5 as that caused mayhem. And now to move all the walkers in range towards Chris. Okay, so this is the first one that's going into Chris. The second one's making it straight into base contact with Chris. The third one doesn't, he just makes it down to here. And the fourth one gets to here, and they're the only ones that are in range. Next up, we're going to activate Julie, and we're going to send Julie down, the sneaker down into base contact with the walker by Chris. First off, we're going to hold a nerve. Yep, that puts it down to 4. And now we're going to sneak her into the walker. We'll split that combat in a minute. And as we got Glenn into that car, I think it's time we're going to activate Cole. And we're going to sneak him into the black vehicle. And for his second action, we're just going to move the vehicle. So Cole and Glenn can move that vehicle out of the way. Getting our third one done. There we go. 1 to go. We're getting there. Now to try to make sure Chris and Julie can stay alive, so I'm going to need a shoot with Rick. So first up, I'm going to activate Tyrese, sneak him so he blocks the route to Rick, and for his second action I'm going to hold my nerve. That's alright, brings it back down to 3. And now for Rick, Rick is going to hold his nerve first, hopefully get a decent roll. Nope, just a 1. Down to 2. And now for Rick's action, he's going to shoot. So that's a blue dice and a red dice. And we're going to shoot the walker in the red trousers. We got a 3, but no crit though. The walker gets a 1. That walker is now prone. Mayhem puts it back up to 3 on the threat tracker. And now to move the walkers that are in range. So the yellow top walker is going to move straight into Rick. The other 2 at the bottom there are in combat. That one's going to go straight towards Rick as well. And these 2 are both going to go straight into Tyrese. Another one's out the back. First one is going to work his way around the barrier and get a little bit of the way towards Rick. Stop him basically in Tyrese's kill zone. The second one is also going to work its way around the barrier and also get pretty close to Tyrese's kill zone. And the final one is literally just going to move straight into the barrier and come to a stop. Just double check to make sure none of the rest are in range. Okay. And now it's time to check the kill zones. It looks like there's a few going in, but we'll check the one I think's out of range. That's out of range. That's in range. It's going into Tyrese. That one's in range. It's going to go into Rick. And that's it. That one's prone. That one's not in range. Now we'll split the combat. Julie can go against one. Chris can go against another one. And before we pull the event card, while I remember, Chris got a headshot. So I need to do an ammo roll. On a blank, he's run out of ammo. So Chris now has no ammo. Now the event card. And the event card is the Hunger. +1 to the threat. It's going to put it up to low threat. Which means that we have to move one eligible walker. Well, I'm not going to move a walker into Tyrese to make it 4-on-1. My only choice really is the walker by Glenn. I'm going to pick that walker and I'm going to shamble him towards Glenn. Glenn is now in combat as well. So we got Glenn in combat. We have Tyrese against 3 walkers, Rick against 2, Julie and Chris again against 1 each. But we'll start with Chris. He has 1 red dice. 1. Walker gets a 1, pushes it back. We'll move on to Julie, 1 defense dice. She gets 2 on a crit. Walker gets a blank. She wins the combat, but it was only defense. Now for Rick. Rick gets 2 white dice. On a crit, we get an extra red. But we only got 2. And the walkers have 3 red dice. They also got 2, so it's a standoff. Rick pushes them both back. And now for Tyrese. Tyrese gets 3 white dice and a red dice again because he's outnumbered. In here. 5 and no crits. So the walkers are going to get 6 dice again. I think I'll put the dice tray back for that one. Right, 6 dice. 1. Okay, Tyrese beat all of them, but he didn't get any headshots, so he only pushes them all back and knocks them all prone. Let's chuck some prone counters down. And last up we have Glenn, but we're just going to attempt to use his skill Nimble. So it's an action dice. Shield. He gets to move away. There we go. Now to see what walkers get back up. First one is up. Second one is up. Third one is up. And finally, the one down here is also up. So all the prone walkers get straight back up. And that is the end of that turn. Now the threat tracker was actually on 5 because of that melee phase. So we're up to 6 at the beginning of this turn. This turn should be a quick one. I'm just literally going to try to activate Glenn and run him to that vehicle. I'm going to see if he treads lightly, which he does. Big bonus, which means he doesn't attract a walker. He can try to pull another supply, a 2x4. I'll swap that over. He can carry the 2x4 and put the metal pipe in his backpack. Right, Carl is going to sneak towards the vehicle, but not make it. Tyrese is going to run. Well, yeah, Tyrese is going to run to there, causing noise, pulling that one in. Oh, yeah. Rick is going to try to hold his nerve. So that puts it down to 4. We still need to get that threat tracker down a little bit more. So I think Rick is just going to sneak back this way. Just a little bit. And at the same time, Julie is going to sneak and hold a nerve. No. Chris is going to hold his nerve. No. And also sneak up to there. So we're not really doing any fighting, though Therese is in combat. Kill zones. Nope, none of them. None of them. Nope, no more for the kill zones. Event card. This is it. Distracted. On low threat, move one eligible walker in the direction of your choice. Oh. Move a walker. I'm going to move this one down here towards the woods. Shambling to the edge of the woods. That'll do. Okay, Melee puts it up to 5. But we do have Tyrese fighting. Only one, so it's 3 white dice. No crits. But the walker can't survive that. So that walker is pushed back. And not prone. Final thing to do is see if it gets back up. Which it doesn't. I was hoping we would have got the threat tracker down a bit, but it's at 5. That was a nice quick turn. And this turn could be even quicker. Right, new turn. Threat tracker up to 6. First thing we're going to do is going to sneak Carl into the car. Second action, they're going to push the car out of the way. Just got to survive. Tyrese is going to sneak in front of Carl. We're going to sneak Rick back a little bit. Hold his nerve. Knock it down by 1. Sneak Julie back a little bit. And sneak Chris back a little bit. And we're just going to wait until the end of the turn. So nothing in the kill zones, because that one's still prone. And then your bank card is add 1 to the threat level, add 1 to the threat level. Threat level goes up to 7, but that's it. There's nothing to move in. We've done it. We've survived. We've moved all the cards out the way, and we have the supplies. It could have turned differently, but our last 2 cards being distracted and too quiet was extremely handy, and the hunger wasn't anything to worry about either. We might have more survivors to worry about, but then we got a better chance of keeping the threat tracker down. I'll see you for chapter 2. Hope you enjoyed. Take it easy.